The story of the family office reads like the evolution of technology, from 1.0's DIY solutions to 2.0's infrastructure boom. But 3.0, that's where it gets interesting. Today's family office founders are younger, more ambitious, and they're not just writing checks. They're building empires that could challenge traditional private equity. So what happens when family business DNA meets institutional scale? We're going to discuss that right now on UBS Trending. Hi, everybody, and welcome to UBS Trending. I'm Anthony Pastore. Thank you very much for being with us today. Please join me in welcoming back to the studio Mark Tepschich, Family Office Design and Governance Strategist here at UBS. Mark, great to have you back.
Anthony, great to be back. Great to see you.
Yeah, you too. In the recent quarterly, Family Office Quarterly, where you wrote, was talking about this evolution of the family office. And I think even for me reading it, I didn't realize how it went from where we started just about 15 years ago to where it is today. So I think a lot of people out there may not know it either. So before we kind of go specifically into Family Office 3.0, there were two other phases there. What's the brief history of the family office, especially from the 1.0 to where we are now?
Yeah, if you want to take a step back, right, and I thought 2025 was a good time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about the history, the arc, the evolution of the family office industry, family office has been around for a very long time, but there really wasn't a lot of them, right? And from my vantage point, I really saw the growth of the industry over the past 15 years. You heard about them a little bit. They were around, but they really haven't become mass scale like they are today. So 1.0 was really like, it was really pre-great financial crisis, right? Pre-global financial crisis, where they were around, you didn't really hear much about them, okay? What that led to was there's lack of resources, industry knowledge. It was like, what is this thing? How do we service it? Is it an institution or is it an individual? It's neither, but it's both, right, at the same time. 2.0, right, it was really global, financial crisis, and after that, really up until even now, today, which was you had the rise of private equity on the heels of really zero interest rates policy.
Right.
So, historically, families had a business, they held on to it into perpetuity to some extent. Maybe they went public, but they weren't really a candidate, didn't really need to or want to, or they sold to strategic. Now, all of a sudden, you had private equity coming in and saying, hey, let's buy your business, let's operate it for a couple of years, and let's sell it again, okay? So now, all of a sudden, families, instead of having an operating company where all their wealth was trapped, now they were sitting on a bunch of liquidity. They're in a new industry, right? And they're saying, like, what do we do with this? How do we manage it? We've got all this complexity. It's a new industry. We're not experts in it like we have been our family business. So you had the growth of the family office space really tied to the growth of the private equity industry, which again has also always been around, but it really ramped up over the past 15 plus years.
That's right.
So now we're into 3.0. Okay.
Yeah, so give me that 3.0. Could you talk about this convergence when you talk about 3.0? What is that?
3.0 is saying this is an industry, it's here, and really it's been the industry, meaning wealth management firms, banks, accounting solutions, accounting firms, tech firms, law firms are saying, okay, we understand this a lot better. It's actually a market in an industry worth serving at scale. So you've got tech firms building solutions specifically for the complexity of families and family offices. You've got accounting firms, banks, even ours is saying like, hey, we understand the family office space more than we did 15 years ago. Let's make bespoke solutions so where you don't have to vertically integrate everything anymore, okay? So historically, when I talk about 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 1.0 was like these early explorers. We know something's there, right, the employees, but it was really DIY, right? It was cobbling things together. It wasn't tapping into industry.
There wasn't a whole lot of structure back in those days.
No, it was like we've got a pile of cash, right? Let's go invest it. Let's manage this complexity, taxes, trust, partnerships, and the family. But now it's family office first from an industry perspective.
Right.
It's not we're serving in hedge funds and private equity funds. We're serving family offices, okay? And so what that has led to is actually going to lead to better outcomes for families. So you have the likes of Adapar coming out, right, which is like family office first, this complexity, we get it. It's not, we're serving institutions. And we can do kind of family offices, sort of dabble in it. But what this has led to also, so you don't just have at a par anymore. You've got firms that will operate your at a par, right? So think Mirador, now part of iCapital, which is we have a relationship with, that could operate your at a par and you're reporting outside the family office. You've got firms like Anderson, who's also referenced in this report. Rebecca Crowley, she does a great job of kind of also laying out the industry evolution from her perspective, which is a great perspective. But now you, instead of, hey, we've got tech solutions and we've got firms that kind of operate it and can understand it for you. So you've seen this blending, this convergence of both family offices and industry where it's really morphing. You're seeing a lot of hybrid situations where a lot of things are outsourced, and that is a huge benefit to families and family offices.
Well, talk about also, because within the report, you also talk about how families and the family offices are kind of changing the investment landscape. You dip into, obviously, this idea about private equity and family office almost seemingly going hand in hand, where you call family offices ubiquitous. At the beginning of this, private equity was not. It is more today, as you were talking about. We even have a bias in our CIO to kind of put towards private equity and private credit. So how did the families and those offices change the landscape investment-wise?
Yeah, so if we're talking about family offices, right, which a lot of them were born out of the private equity boom, right, through liquidity event-driven private equity transactions. And you see that heightening, that allocation going deeper and deeper of clients' portfolios into private equity. But they also are playing in the direct investment space. And the kind of the press out there has really talked a lot about this. The families are allocating more to directs rather than to funds, and I do agree with that. But you're going to start seeing more and more of like, hey, we're not just going to be passive allocators to direct investments. We as a family, by the way, you're seeing a lot of younger families, right, having liquidity events. They're saying, listen, I don't want to sit back and be passive allocators. Now, granted, you still have a lot of that, but they're saying we have this industry knowledge, we have this institutional knowledge of an industry, right? We're operators, we're builders. Families are operators and builders first, and they're saying we could start a fund around this and allocate back into the same industry we just had an exit from, and adjacent industries. We know all the players, we know the stakeholders.
That's right.
And let's scale these direct investment ambitions. You're seeing a little bit of that now, and this could be very interesting. What that leads to, however, so your typical private equity fund, GP, 3 to 7 year hold time. Families aren't saying like, hey, 3 to 7 year hold time. They think in generations, right? So they're saying, we don't have a timeline on this hold, right? We don't need to flip it really to get paid. So you're going to start seeing a lot of direct investments, private equity driven, transactions by families, where they're not sitting back saying, listen, we need to invest on a 3 to 5, 7 year timeline to get our payback, flip it. We're going to build and we're going to operate this thing. And we're going to be long-term investors, long-term operators, long-term builders. That leads to the compounding of a family's and an investor's capital. And families, I think, intuitively understand this, right? They're not private equity, they're converging into private equity. So it's going to be really interesting the next 10, 15 years, both in the family office space and private equity, how they influence each other.
Yeah, it's kind of scaling the idea of like these family private capital into other businesses, isn't it? I mean, that's really the whole point of what a lot of these family offices are attempting to achieve.
Yeah, listen, they have that DNA inside of them.
Right.
They're builders and operators, okay? And so
which has been a lot of times passed down from 2, 3 generations before.
Yeah, they have a unique way of doing things, right? And so other families also within those industries that know they're a known quantity, they've had success, demonstrable success, building and operating a business, oftentimes for generations.
Right.
So you're going to see more and more of this. And so families also have a unique way, not all the time, have a unique way of looking at things. So private equity, right, and private equity is great, I'm not here to disparage them, but families, like I said before, are these original B Corps, right? So they operate and they build and they live within these communities where their investments are, where their operating companies are. And so the way they approach things is slightly different, right? And also, I talked earlier about the compounding of capital. The thing about families, again, not all families, they tend to be a little bit more financially prudent. So you're not going to see this massive amounts of debt on the portfolio companies. And so that gives them flexibility, as they build and operate and to navigate these, downturns in these cycles. So it's going to be real interesting.
Yeah. And just, kind of as we wrap up, there are non-family members who are also part or working for the family office. What's the unique role that they're playing these days?
Yeah, so you see a lot of them coming out of the operating company, right, and joining the family office, especially post-liquidity event. You're seeing private equity professionals not saying, hey, I'm going to spend 25 years in private equity. Maybe let's look at the family office industry, right, and see what that can mean for me. And so, again, you have this convergence. And just to go back to the evolution of the family office industry, you had these kind of early explorers. There was no infrastructure built. For families in the direct investment and really private equity space that want to do this, there's already infrastructure.
Right, exactly.
Banks understand private equity, lenders understand it, the industry as a whole, right, business understands it, and so it's already there.
Yeah, the barriers to entry aren't as difficult as they were 10 or 15 years ago.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so you're going to see families sitting back and say that are going to allocate to other families, right, and saying like, listen, not all of our private equity allocation is going to be 15 to 20-year hold times, but there's a spot on those balance sheets and those portfolios for this, okay? And so you're going to start seeing that.
Excellent. Just really quickly, Mark, does artificial intelligence, is it playing any kind of role in the efficiencies within the family office in general? I know every like you said, there's not one family office that's exactly alike. Are you starting to see that?
If I had $1 for every time somebody asked me that,
I'm not surprised to hear that. We could take a vacation somewhere.
Yeah. So we're in the early innings here of AI in general, and for the family office industry, there's unfortunately at this point there's no family office focused AI. It's coming from the likes of it's going to come from the likes of your Bloomberg terminal, your Adapar, and the institution that's servicing family office first, rather than, hey, we're a family office, we have our own AI. Like, it'll get there, but that's going to also reduce the informational complexities in the family office space.
Excellent. Mark, thank you very much. Always good to kind of hear what's going on within your space. By the way, your role even probably didn't exist 10 or 15 years ago, because now family offices are that kind of ubiquitous business that we're helping to support. So great to have you here, and always good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you as well.
You too, Mark. Mark Tepsich again from the family office team. And thank you for joining us. There's a lot more information, and the quarterly newsletter is available. Check our website out at ubs.com/views. Plus, you can also talk to your financial advisor. They can also get you a copy if you're interested in reading that. And make sure to follow UBS on social media. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and X. Lots of content up there for you. Plus, check out our Instagram channel at UBS Trending. In the meantime, everybody, we hope you have a great rest of your day, and remember to keep your eyes on what's trending. We'll see you soon.